Awesome. Hey guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. And I just really want to say thank you for just taking a few minutes out of your day to watch this review. So I just watched Tall Girl. It was released today on Netflix. And what are my opinions on it? Well, I can tell you straight away, I know for a fact that I'm definitely not the target market. I'm definitely not the audience member that the directors and producers had in mind when making this movie. And so I'm going to try to keep that in mind while I review it. Having said that, I definitely had weird opinions about this movie when I saw the trailers. The moment I saw this trailer, I was like, this is not going to be a movie I'm going to enjoy, because it just seems so incredibly cliche. And she's a tall girl. Big whoop. Like, honestly, to me, that's not something that's that dramatic. That's not something to have insecurities about. And they make a point of saying this in the film. She's 6'1.5" inches. That's not even that like extremely tall. Maybe like that's like maybe just a little bit taller than I am. So it's not like she's absolutely tall and she towers over everyone and they come up to her chest and she can like walk over them like a flipping giant. No, she's just a slightly taller girl. But they make it seem like it's this life-changing, life-altering thing. And so when I watched the trailers, I was like, I don't know how much I can buy into this being this dramatic thing. And there's this one line in the movie that actually really got me thinking. Jodi, she's the tall girl in the film. She pretty much goes, yes, it's great being a tall guy, that's awesome, but it's completely different being a tall girl. And that got me thinking a little bit. I mean, like, hey, you know, maybe she's right. I mean, us guys, we like being tall, we like being big. It's clearly different for girls. So that definitely did shift my perception of the film a little bit. That definitely made me start to view the film in a different way. So the movie, we start off the movie with just Jodi, and she's busy talking about how she's so freaking tall. And we're introduced to her character through this dialogue with this guy. And you know, they start to hit it off, they start flirting, there's a little bit of banter. And he's like, so would you like to come with me to, and she stands up. And he's like, oh, never mind, because, you know, he realizes that she's so much taller than him. And that interaction felt incredibly shallow. And while it was entertaining, it put a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth, because I was just like, oh, is it going to be one of those films where all the characters are incredibly stereotypical and like really shallow, there's not much depth to them. And for some of the characters I can say that. For some of the characters I can say that they really do feel shallow, there's not much depth. But then for others, they really do unpack the characters quite a bit. And even though they're introduced a specific way and you think they're going to be a specific stereotype, they kind of flip that on their head and they become quite in-depth. There's a lot of character development for some of them. Not all the characters. They definitely put a lot more care and attention to some characters than in others. And that happens in every film. You're not going to always have completely developed characters throughout all of your films. I think the best way to describe this film, and it is a romantic comedy, like that's the vibe I got from it. There were definitely moments where I did laugh, which I was not expecting. The first half an hour of this film, I was just sitting there going, I'm not going to enjoy this. This is so silly. It's so boring. Why am I watching this? The entire office is like, Caleb, why are you watching this? You're just ripping it apart. Because there were so many moments in this film, especially at the beginning, where I just went, that's so cliche. Of course that happened. Yes, of course. We've seen this in so many other love romantic movies. Okay, this is going to happen next, and then that happens next. But then after the half an hour mark, when they start to turn, you know, the cliches on their head, when they start to give the characters more depth, that's when the movie becomes so much more interesting. And specific characters that you're expecting to do certain things, they don't do those things. And so it's a very interesting dynamic, and it actually does keep you on your toes quite a bit, because they start to introduce characters and you're like, haha, I know this character cliche, this character's going to do this. And they don't do that. And I was honestly surprised a few times with some of the character decisions. But again, that feels like a very double-edged blade, because there were some character motivations in this film that genuinely made no sense. There were some characters that you thought, cool, this is the nice character, and for the first half of the film, they are the nice character. And then they do something that's completely out of character. And not so much as like a twist, but it breaks the character development. They haven't done anything as a character to warrant them acting this way, and then they go and they do it. And to me, that bummed me out a little bit, because you grow an investment with this character, and they did it really well where you understand this character does these certain things. And you're like, cool, this is what this character does. And then near the end of the movie, they go and they do this. And you're like, that's not character motivation, that's character breaking. That character would never actually do that. So it kind of pulls you out a little bit. You don't really get that investment with the characters that you were hoping for, because it really does just break all investment that you had with that character. The relationship really just doesn't work anymore. I think the best way to describe the movie as a whole, and this comes to everything, whether it's the performances, it's the music choices, it's the cinematography. There are moments of brilliance, and then there are moments of just where it just feels like everything had just been dropped, like the ball, they just dropped the ball. For example, there are literally some really cool camera angles that they take. The cinematography at times is just awesome. They do some really, really artistic shots, and they play around with the camera at certain angles. And then there's certain scenes where, like, for example, the blocking is completely off. Like, there's an actor standing in front of the person that's talking, so you can't even see the mouth when the person's talking. So it's moments where you get really artsy shots, and then moments where you can't even see the person talking. Same with the music. There are moments where the music really seems to match the mood of the film. And then there are other moments where, like, oh, why did they choose that soundtrack? It doesn't work with that at all. Especially when they this one is like the perfect example. When they introduce the male love interest of the film, the soundtrack they use just doesn't match it at all. And they try to use this very, like, fairy, lovey-dovey soundtrack, but it's not. It's introducing this really big, good-looking guy. You'd expect it to be a little bit more upbeat, something a little bit more enticing, something a little bit more intoxicating, but it was very la 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 la. It was like lovey-dovey. That was a terrible illustration. Sorry about that. But sure, guys, that is Tall Girl. Would I recommend it? Not if you're a guy that likes action movies or even necessarily romantic movies. It's definitely targeted to people out of my demographic. I can guarantee you that much. But if you are a guy like myself that does enjoy the odd romantic comedy, then I would say give it a go. Will it change your life? No. Are you going to absolutely fall in love with the film? No. But will it make your popcorn taste better? Yes. It's definitely not bad. It's like soup. I don't know how else to explain it. I would definitely put it around the 60% mark, 60 to really high 60s, low 60s, high 60s, around there. They definitely played around with the cliches, but then they also embraced some of the cliches I didn't like. Like, for example, the ending we got was definitely not the ending I wanted. It was very sweet, and at the end I was like, oh, that is nice. I was hoping for a different ending. And there are a lot of characters where it doesn't feel like their arcs properly finished. They've got all of this character development, so much happens, and then it's the end of the film, and you're like, that wasn't addressed, that wasn't addressed, that wasn't addressed. So it is like soup. It's there. I don't know if that is a perfect illustration to captivate my thoughts on the film, but there it is. So guys, thank you so much for watching this review. If you have watched my reviews before, you will know that this is a very different location. But I hope you guys do not mind. You guys are awesome. I love you. I'll see you in the next review.